Yisro, who is the main character in this week's Torah portion, is a very fascinating individual. What happens? He hears about all the miracles Hashem performed, God performed for the Jewish people in Egypt, in the desert, and he decides to leave. He leaves what the rabbis tell us was a very, glorious, beautiful lifestyle. And he goes out to the desert. Imagine if we could, imagine the scene. He has his advisors. He was actually, Yisro was a very high priest to an idol-worshipping, I don't call it an industry, but a religion. Idol-worshipping religion. He was very high up there. And he lived in apparently a very wealthy lifestyle. And he's getting ready to leave. He's packing his bags. And imagine his advisor telling him, well, where are you going? He said, well, I'm going to the desert indefinitely. Interesting, okay. But where are you going exactly in the desert? Well, I heard about these Jewish people, this new people that have come out of Egypt after many years of slavery, and I think they may have the truth on life. Okay. Yisro, tell me, what exactly are you going to eat in the desert? Oh, you mean you don't know? Well, there's bread falling from the heavens for them. This thing called man. It's falling from the heavens. Okay. It gets a little hot in the desert. What are you planning to drink there? Oh, no problem. They say that they have a traveling well with them. So you can imagine his advisors look at him and say, yeah, if you need some phone numbers of people to call for some help, we have them. So just call us when necessary. So he's going out and hears about all these miracles, and he leaves, on his own, by himself. And of course, the rabbis tell us, imagine when he gets to the Jewish people, the camp of the Jewish people, Moshe, the leader of the Jewish people, who was, of course, Yisro's son-in-law, comes out to greet him. And then, when Moshe goes out, so then the other leaders follow Moshe, because he was the greatest. And then if all the leaders of the Jewish people are going to greet Yisro, so then everyone follows out. So even though he left alone on his journey, he's rewarded, say the rabbis, by having all hundreds of thousands, about 2.5 million people coming to greet him. Not bad. But he had no idea that would happen. He had no idea. He thought he would just come alone to the desert. Who knows what he would find there. What makes him leave? He has everything. Why? Okay, he hears about the miracles, and the Torah reports that Yisro left. But where's everybody else, and why him? He's got everything made going for him. Why should he leave? But there's another interesting thing we find in the parasha, which is that he comes to Moshe, and Moshe is teaching, judging the people after coming down from on Sinai, after the giving the Torah. And he sees the system that Moshe has for teaching the Jewish people, and he says, Yisro tells to Moshe, sorry, it's not going to work. Not going to work. The system is you can get tired out, burnt out. That's what happened. You'll get burnt out. What should you do? You got to appoint judges. You're going to appoint judges over 50,000 people, 10,000 people, 10, 50, a whole system of judges. Okay? And Yisro says, well, go ask God if this is a good system. And Hashem says, Yisro's right. Let's change the system. And they change it. Now, this was a pretty bold move on Yisro's part. Pretty bold. You're coming into, you're a stranger from the outside. Now, Moshe is his son-in-law, but, still, it's not his own people. Got to change the system. This ain't going to work. Now that he doesn't, the system that he has doesn't work, he gives him a piece of advice of what to do. So we could have told him, very nice, thank you very much, let's, live here for a little bit, and then we'll listen to you. What's he coming in and giving advice over here? Why is he doing this? One of the great Jewish philosophers of the 20th century was one of the great Mussar leaders of pre-World War II Europe. His name is Rabbi Lvovitz. And he talks about what made Yisro unique. What was unique about Yisro? And I'll use first the Hebrew term and then I'll define it. And he said he called it the koyach habikuros. And that means as follows. What that means is that Yisro thought very deeply about life. And he was a priest for one of the major idol-worshipping religions. And he had the quality trait of thinking about what life is really about. Is this really correct or not? Let's examine this deeply. And he examined it, and he found that it wasn't true. And the rabbis tell us not only did he examine about his own idol worship, but he went around doing comparative religion, looking at other religions. And he said, this doesn't make sense. Until he figured out that one God, which controls everything, is the way to go. It's the only way it makes sense. And after hearing about the miracles, he said, I got to check this out. This sounds truth. This sounds like this is the truth. It was this quality trait of being able to look at life critically and deeply that enabled him to make that decision and say, wait a minute, I have to really rethink if the basis of how I'm living life is correct, and to base my course based on what I find to be the truth. And that's what he did. And once he found that, he changed course. It's that same quality trait, says Rabbi Levov, it's the same thing that when he comes to the Jewish people and he finds Moshe teaching the Jewish people in a way which doesn't make sense to him. He says, this doesn't work. Right? Where's everybody? Imagine, where's everybody else? There are 2.5 million Jewish people around. And a stranger from the outside comes and says, this is not going to work. It's a funny thing. But sometimes you need a person who's living with that quality of really looking at things deeply and examining and critically thinking, does this make sense or not? And Yisro had that. He used that in deciding whether to leave the comforts that he had and to try to really investigate and embrace Hashem. And it's the same quality he uses now when he comes and sees how Moshe Rabbeinu is judging and says, this can't be. This doesn't make sense. Let's think about it. It's not going to work. Long term, you're going to burn out. That's the uniqueness of Yisro, and how he's able to do these two things that he did. Leave where he was, leave everything behind, and number two, come into foreign people, and come and tell Moshe Rabbeinu, the system you have is no good. This is a very important quality. It's a very strong quality, which we can all learn from, because especially as life goes on, and we live with certain assumptions of how life should be, or how we're living life in general, and we don't always have the time or the thinking. We get intellectually lazy. Everybody, myself included. We don't rethink and say, is this correct? Is my approach this correct? And things could change, circumstances could change, and therefore the thinking might have to change. So that's something we could really, I think, all learn from Yisro. To be intellectually honest with ourselves, and to think deeply about the assumptions that we live life based on. And think, is this correct or not? And when we're able to do that, we'll find a whole fresh new perspective on life. We'll discover fascinating things that even though other people will see, we'll see them in a different light. And the reason is because we're thinking deeply about life.
Oh, yeah.